there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and this is another edition of Monster Comics Reviews. And for this week, I am talking about comics from the week of March 19th. So from when I'm recording this, that's about 2 weeks ago. This is the batch of comics that came late because I had so many comics, right? So we got a lot to talk about, so let's talk some books, shall we? First up, let's talk Animal Man, issue number 29, the final issue. Art in this done by Travel Foreman and Jeff Lemire, the original people who were on the book when it first started out. And of course, with Lemire writing it as he always has. This kind of finishes up everything, seals everything off, and gives us a clean ending of sorts, except I really don't think it does, because by the end of this, they haven't answered the whole alien force that gave Buddy permission to go and save his daughter and do all this stuff, with basically the promise that he would go back to the Red and help him. And I don't know that we really squared that away. It sets it up, I think, really nicely for Justice League Unlimited, which is great in the sense that I'm getting Justice League Unlimited, so I'll be okay with that as far as that goes. But as far as its own series go, they feel a little cheated on that aspect of it. Still an excellent run, still lots of fun. You know, as a series as a whole, and I'll talk about it as a series as a whole because of the, because it was the final issues. I thought it was a decent series. It had some great themes running through it. Family's a really important part of that. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the dynamics between him and his kids and the struggles with dealing with that. I love his wife. His wife is excellent in this series all the way along. Even when she's being horrible because Cliff has died and she's, you know, acting the way she's acting, I think that's good writing. It makes sense. It makes sense for the character to be that way, to feel that way. So happy with it all the way along. I think that Animal Man held up much better than Swamp Thing does during the whole Rot World stuff. If you're only reading this, you're not reading Swamp Thing through that part of it, I think as a whole you're going to be fine. The better part of the story was told through Animal Man, I think. So, yeah, a good series. I enjoyed it. I'm glad it came out. You know, it's one of those series I don't think I would have seen without the New 52 to give it its launch. So, you know, kudos for DC for doing that, for it being around as long as it was. Obviously not a super high selling book, or they would have found somebody else to do the book, but thank you for, you know, Jeff Lemire's time is up on the book, and them allowing him, they deciding it's going to end with him, giving him a chance to write some sort of an ending. So good for that. And yeah, Animal Man, not too bad. Next up, we're going to talk Batman and Aquaman. This is Batman and issue number 29. We're starting the hunt for Robin in this. Super excited for this storyline to happen. I've been chomping at the bit. Loved the Two-Face arc that went on, but was really looking forward to when this was going to kick off, and we get him going after the people who stole his son's body, Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, or however the heck you want to say his name. So they're going for him here. There's some banter between Aquaman. Aquaman being this wasn't significant so much as it just, you know, the thing needs to be an and somebody, and it just made sense for it to be and Aquaman because he's traveling to this island to try and, you know, catch up to the bodies of his son, and so it makes sense there. The art continues to be fabulous in this thing. It's amazing how much emotional content that Patrick Gleason figures out how to put in Batman's face. For you get the feeling of what Batman is feeling without him having to have any words, without him having to have any internal dialogue. You just get it. You get what's going on in Batman's head by looking at his character. And that's impressive, you know, when you think about the fact how much of Batman's face is covered up and only how much of it you can deal with and whatnot. So, enjoyable issue. Love the little bit at the end of this that has Wonder Woman in it. Super stoked for the next issue, which has more Wonder Woman in it and them traveling to Paradise Island. Exactly how that's going to work out and whatnot. You know, I think it's pretty obvious. We can see that more than likely Damian's going to get resurrected by the time this thing's whole said and done. You know, I'm going to be happy when that happens. We'll see how they address it, how it gets handled. I'm really comfortable with these creators taking that on and it not sucking. So, pretty stoked. Really, really enjoy it. Great book. As always, recommend this. If you're interested in a Batman book, this is the Batman book to read. You can start out here. It's the beginning of a storyline. I mean, the only knowledge you need to know is that, you know, his son has died, and you know, his grandfather basically has stolen the body and go from there if you want to. But I highly recommend you go back and pick up all the trades if you can't find the singles, because it's just a solid Batman story all the way through. Has been and continues to be. Harley Quinn, issue number 4. Yeah, somewhat cute issue, I guess. I think I'm done collecting Harley Quinn. I'll get a few more issues because of how far in advance I order my books. But it's meandering enough without having a real anything that feels like it's moving the story forward and that we're progressing anything, that the character's developing anything or anything like that. So, you know, the only progress is the fact is they're finding out a way to deal with all the dog's waste that's in her apartment. Otherwise, there isn't a whole lot of moving forward in this book. And I need it to have some, either it needs to be totally funny and not flirt with the idea that maybe there's progress, or there needs to actually be progress, one of the two. So, yeah, there I am with that. Okay issue, but I need to make some trims some places and whatnot, I feel like, with my poll. So this is one of them that's getting trimmed. So there you go. Marvel Knights Hulk. This is issue 4 of 4, the final of this thing. I actually really enjoyed this. I love Petro Kowalski's artwork in it is just incredible. He's a great artist. I look forward to seeing him do more work other places. Kind of an interesting story, as far as, who the Hulk is and in this alternate universe and the powers that are manipulating him. We get some more Doctor Doom at the end of the thing, basically playing a chess game with another evil villain mastermind. Wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I'm not talk a lot about it here. It was an okay alternative Hulk story that I enjoyed. Ms. Marvel issue 2. Excellent second issue. First issue was great. Second issue, really for me, doesn't miss a beat. They very quickly basically kind of give us an idea, if you know anything about the Marvel Universe, why she has her powers. She's basically getting gassed by the Inhuman, gas and stuff that's going on. This is how it's affected her. You get to see her first attempts at being, a hero, the people she saves, why she saves them, and her whole dealing with that. There's some great funny lines in here about what she thought it was going to be like to be a superhero and how cool she thought it'd be to be basically the old Ms. Marvel, the old Carol Danvers. What would that all be like, and what her thoughts are on it versus the reality of it were interesting. How the reality of how embarrassing that old Ms. Marvel's costume is, because it's certainly not modest. There's no underwear, and the leotard creeps, and all that stuff was great little lines to throw in there. Her dealing with her family is great. You get kind of a sense of what her family is like. Potentially stereotypical in some way, but not, because all families are stereotypical in some fashion or another. They're dealing with her sneaking out. It wasn't crazy. They weren't over the top. They were parents. They were parents who are worried, who have their rules and that sort of stuff. So that all seemed normal. So that continues to be great. The whole Muslim, the fact that she is an aspect of who she is, but it isn't the dominating force of who she is or what she is or what the book is about. It's as much that she's that as the fact that she anything else that's going on in her life or in a person's life. So great from all those standpoints. Really enjoying it. Just a smart, enjoyable comic about a youthful person being given superpowers. What does that mean, and how are they going to address it? So looking forward to lots more good stuff from this book. Suicide Squad, coming down to the final issues. I don't think this was the actual last one. Not a lot to this issue, unfortunately. OMAC gets his crap together and then gets flushed down the toilet anyway. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about in here. We're just kind of spinning wheels at this point, I think. Just kind of, we're coming to an end. Everything's so smashed from the whole Forever Evil thing that this is just some of the repercussions and the fallout of that. Not sure exactly what the next issue will be. If there's another issue, maybe this is the last issue. Most of the villains get reestablished with the same old, bomb in their in their body kind of thing that they had gotten away from. So yeah, we'll see. I can't remember, like I said, if there's another issue out there. There is, there isn't. If not, I guess that's an odd, interesting place to end. But anything that's tied into Forever Evil seems to be that it doesn't have its own answers in its own book. It has to be answered in the Forever Evil thing. So, yeah, for whatever the Forever Evil's worth. Superman Unchained, issue number 6. Actually, a relatively decent issue as far as Superman Unchained thing. And I've been very uninterested in that. We get to see them deal with some nuclear missiles and how they go about dealing with that is interesting. The difference between Superman and Wraith, they both have basically the same powers, but obviously they have different obligations in the world. Wraith just to the United States and the United States government, Superman to all of humanity. We get to see Superman basically go toe-to-toe with Wraith. You think Wraith should win because he's got more powers and more finely tuned and has been doing it a lot longer. But of course, Superman has an ace up his sleeve. The ace up his sleeve is called Batman, and Batman gives him some resources that allow him to basically screw with Wraith. It's okay. You know, the information, you know, there's some Lois Lane stuff in here that's pretty decent. Also, probably the coolest thing in here is there's a little after the story in it where Wraith shows up basically in the Batcave, and you know, Batman's like, well, you here to threaten me because threatening me is not going to work, and Wraith basically goes, no, I'm not here to threaten you, I'm here to kill you. So I'll be curious to see what that has in it. Plus the fact that part's cool because it's got Dustin Nguyen doing the art on it, and I just kind of miss seeing him do regular superhero work. So, yeah. Superior Foes of Spider-Man. This is issue number 10. Despite basically being written by a bunch of different writers and a bunch of different, and then art by a bunch of different artists, I really enjoyed this. It still had its charm. It still had its wit about it. It was still Superior Foes of Spider-Man. It's just a fun, good laugh. The reason there are so many different writers and artists on this is because each one of the Sinister Six, 3 of them basically, are sitting around in a bar waiting for the time safe to unlock so they can rob it. Tells their own kind of coming-of-age story about how they kick some big bad guy's ass in some fashion or another. And, you know, what that all, you know, how it all works together. And it's funny because each of them don't really kick the superhero's ass. It's all by accident kind of things and whatnot. But still really fun, really amusing. You know, just the fun that you'd expect out of Superior Foes of Spider-Man if you're reading the book. A good laugh. I have no idea how long this book will last, but as long as it's out there, I keep reading it because these losers are just fun. They're just fun to read, and all the different ways that kind of point out they're losers is just a really good thing. And finally, for this time around, Wonder Woman issue number 29. And you can see here she's putting on the helmet of war, which means one thing. She is finally embracing the mantle of war. Super exciting issue. Absolutely loved it. Cliff Chang artwork inside, which of course this makes it even better. You know, by the end of this issue, we've established just how big of a badass the Firstborn is. And we also, Hera gets her powers back. Armies get built. And at the very end of it, we get this hell yeah moment where I literally was saying hell yeah as I was reading it, where Wonder Woman raises up her army, gets together with the Amazons and goes, I'm not just asking you to fight for me as, you know, Diana, Prince of Themyscira, but I am asking you to fight with me as, you know, the god of war. We are going to war. So these final issues of them going to war against the Firstborn is going to be outstanding, I think. So super excited for these issues and this story. Just really cool. It's gonna, I have no doubt it's gonna be just an outstanding ending to this run that these guys have produced and whatnot. So very excited by that. Excellent issue. Be picking Wonder Woman up. I know it's hard to get into. The best thing to do, spend the money, buy the trades, get yourself caught up that way. It's just great stuff. It's great, solid, exciting world building and character work. It's just great. This is an awesome Wonder Woman. Yeah, she's just really cool. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later on. Have a great one, everyone.